Session 23. Welcome if you're listening to this later on. Who knows what's going to happen, but hopefully it'll be worth your while. Beginning is always a little quiet, but once people start rolling in, we will see what happens. See who's up for talking about cards tonight. If you're listening to this later, if you're at work, people tell me they listen to this on a work break or they listen to this in their car. And I say, really? You're listening to this on your break? I mean, there's got to be better things to listen to, but hey, I'm glad it's entertaining. I hope it's entertaining. We've already got some great people in here. Let's see. How you doing, TJ Mack? Vintage Cards. Good to see you, Terry. Hey, man. Good to see you all. How's everybody doing tonight? What's everybody up to? Terry, I really enjoyed your last video about choosing cards not just because it's an iconic card or a famous card or a Hall of Famer or a valuable card, but that there's something about the card beyond those things that draws you to it. Not to say that there's anything wrong with wanting a Hall of Famer card, of course not, but that there are other reasons to go for cards. Walking the dog and joining Card Room Live. Now that's some serious multitasking. I will eventually share the link in here at some point. If anybody wants to hop in here and have a chat. But those of you that are in here, what's going on with you these days? What's going on with your collection? What's going on with your hobby life? Anybody pick up anything recently or looking into anything that they want to pick up? Yeah, definitely. I can't deny that part of the reason that I kind of went in that direction was motivated by the pricing situation. I understand that generally people are saying that the prices have come down recently, or I guess that they have been trending down, but even if that's the case, I definitely found myself looking at stuff beyond the big guys, I guess, in terms of acquisitions. And part of that's just because the big cards that I ordinarily would want to go after are just out of reach. They might be a little bit better now, but they're still out of reach. In many ways. And so looking at other cards in a way allows me to get around that issue, but also just to sort of keep the hobby going. In the past few weeks, I've been paying a lot more attention on YouTube, on Twitter, to the hobby. And I've been seeing a lot of people talk about having to pivot and change the way they collect because of feeling priced out. And so everybody's kind of going through the same thing. And It's like how do you deal with it? It's like I don't want to stop collecting. Um, Unfortunately, collecting is so strongly tied to the financial part of it. Um, so much of what we do is about acquiring, right? What are we going to get? What do we want? How much is it? So to let that get in the way of what otherwise is a really enjoyable hobby, something I don't want to have happen. So I've got to pivot, and I think we've all had to find our way through it in the past couple of years. Anybody looking up anything these days that they want to talk about? Any cards? Any new uh, sets or eras or cards that you've been looking at? Hey man, appreciate it. Yeah, it's kind of the same and kind of different, uh, you know, and it's been fun reconsidering stuff. I definitely changed it up a little bit, and it's been fun kind of making that choice about what changes and what stays the same. Setting up if you have the chance to have a hobby room, even if it's just part of a room, is so much fun. So I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, prices have stabilized, but are still much higher than pre-COVID on vintage. Yeah, and they're not going to come down, right? They're not going to normalize or return to what we thought they were before. Um, so it's the new world, and we have to figure out how to function in it. And I think it's possible. I think it's possible. Picked up a Diamond Stars Gus Sir, a fun image. Well, that is a perfect prompt to go look up that card. We have not done this in a while. So here we go. Okay, hold on a sec. I haven't done this since I moved into this new place, so I have to go into my system preferences and mess around with it for a second. Technical difficulties. But I'm looking at it right now, Terry, and it is definitely a fun image. I'll put this up here in a second for everybody. Mm. Okay, it's not going to let me do it. I'm not going to be able to share my screen because if I share my screen, I have to quit Google Chrome, and that's not happening. So, no screen sharing tonight. But if anybody's doubting Terry, go look up the 1934 Diamond Stars Gus Sir, and you'll enjoy it. It's a great image. It's pretty dynamic, actually. He's making a play, and it looks like there's a runner behind him. So that's pretty awesome. That's fantastic, Terry. You and I are on the same page. That's definitely a set that, like, if I were ever to get back into set building, that would be right there. That would be right there in the top five sets that I would consider building. I've gotten a new appreciation for 1955 tops. I've always been more of a 56 guy when comparing the two, but have really started noticing the beauty of 55 tops. Yeah, I gotta be honest. I've not been a fan of 55 tops for the longest time. Doesn't mean I don't like it. But if I'm gonna look at 50s cards, for me, I would put it lower on the list. I always found the background to be a little uninteresting. You know, the sort of red or yellow or green background. I feel like 56 was an improvement on 55. Like Topps kind of figured their act out with 56. But that said, kind of like you, I think, the more I look at it, the more I start to really appreciate it. Like I love the Jackie Robinson. I love the Ernie Banks. I love the Ted Williams. Um, those are just three that come to mind that I think really look great in 55 Tops. And again, 55 Tops is a great set. I'm not trying to say it isn't. Um, just from an aesthetics perspective, I've always thought that 56 was more interesting. Um, but yeah, definitely. Hey Rick, speaking of Diamond Stars, I'm looking for the Al Lopez, and that's a nice looking set. Yes, I have the Al Lopez. It's back in here somewhere. That is a great card. I love that card. It's really like the perspective on that card is kind of screwed up from like an artistic perspective, like just the angle and the proportions of the players, and like it's kind of a cartoon. There's like little lines for the baseball, I think, but it's such a great card. Hey Corey, welcome. Looking at the 1916 M101-4 Connie Mack, didn't you get this card? Yes, I do have that card. In fact, I think I first saw that card in one of these sessions. We were on eBay, and I think it might have been Jesse, I think Blue 77, brought up that set, and we were looking through it, and that Connie Mack just jumped right out at me. I love that image. It's him standing in the dugout. I'm not sure if it's Shiad Park. It probably is. I mean, but who knows? I'm sure somebody out there knows. And it's like the dugout is just dirt, but they've got like these big wooden planks that he's standing on. And when I saw that, I was like, that's a Connie Mack card that I need to have. And so I definitely snagged it as soon as I saw it. Not a card that pops up a lot on eBay, or at least in the time that I was looking for it, it didn't really pop up a whole lot. But when it did, I jumped all over it. So if you end up getting that card, you will not regret it. Yes, he is smiling as a guy is about to run him down. Yeah, that's that's not how I saw it, Terry. But now that you mention it, yes, that's exactly what's happening. Hey, speak of the devil, how you doing, Jesse? I am not watching the Guardians versus the Twins, Nina. I am fielding comments. But how's it going? Good to see you. How are the Guardians doing tonight? I'm gonna guess not well, based on Jesse's reaction. Oh, cool. Warren Spahn, Richie Ashburn. Hey, those are two really solid vintage players that I think most of us would agree are fairly underappreciated in the hobby. And I'm a big Richie Ashburn fan, being a Philly fan. But Warren Spahn has a lot of really great looking cards. I love pitchers cards because pitchers cards, you can have them obviously going through their motion, but a lot of times some of my favorite pitchers cards are the ones where they're just kind of staring at their grip on a baseball, and they've got some goofy smile. And I think Warren Spahn has a lot of cards where he's just gripping a baseball and he's got a big goofy smile. Yeah. See, so Nina agrees with me, guys. So come on, there's no argument now. That is true, Carlisle. There are two Al Lopez Diamond Stars cards. And I would bring them up and show them to you guys, except I can't because I would have to close the live stream and open it up again, and I'm not going to do that. But there are 2 Alobest Diamond Stars cards. For the Diamond Stars, I'm going to get the cards I like first, and then see if I keep an interest in it. Hey, that's a good strategy. Yeah. And I think a lot of people end up building a set that exact way, Terry. Like they never intended to build a set, and then they kind of like they look up one day and it's like, heck, I have so many of these cards. I must like this set. I might as well do it, right? So that might be a good strategy. I wonder if Diamond Stars is hurt by people building sets because of the repeating players. Yeah, right. That's a good point. It makes me think, like what is it that drives you to build the set? I think one of the things that people say when they don't like the idea of building a set is they don't like acquiring cards of players that they don't care about, which is a valid point. My personal feeling about set building is if you're going to build a set, you have to appreciate the set as a whole experience. That's the joy of building a set. It's not about how many Hall of Famers are in that set. It's about the set as a whole experience. And so that might mean in this case that you're getting repeating players. And it's like, well, does it really matter to you that you've got 2 of the same player? I would say if you're not a set builder, yeah, it would, because you'd be like, well, gosh, I already have this card. I don't need it again, right? But if you're a set builder, it's like, I've got to build the set, and that's how that set was released. So to me, it's the approach that changes when you're a set builder. Yeah, Jesse, you were there. Guardians are winning 2-0 in the third. Keep us updated, Nina. Phillies are winning 7-2 against the Nats, and I know everyone's going to say, yeah, but it's the Nats. But you know what? I would personally like to see the Phillies reach the postseason for the first time in a decade. I personally would like that. So if it means we need to beat the Nats, then that's what's got to happen. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, 53 Bowman Spawn is one of my favorite cards in that set. Although they're all my favorite cards, right? How you doing, man? Hey, are you still doing your? Trying to think of what to call it, like your T206 like 101 class, because I feel like I may have missed it. I know you did at least 1, maybe 2, and I don't know if there were supposed to be more or if you were done. I have to go back and check your channel out, because if you're done, then I have to go back and watch. If you're not, I hope you're going to finish it, because that was awesome, and I know a lot of people were talking about it and wanted to learn more about it. So good to see you. How you doing, man? Well, Max may show up in here if we're lucky. I haven't really talked to Max except to say congratulations. He briefly went live on Facebook and showed all the cards compiled in one room. And as you can imagine, he was like struggling to get a shot with all the cards visible. But that was definitely amazing. And you know what? I remember at the time, NASA had just released that photograph of the galaxy or whatever it was. And I told Max, this is more impressive than NASA's photograph. And I kind of meant that. How you doing? How you doing, Dave? It's good to see you. Spawn is so underrated. Anyone that survived the Battle of the Bulge and went on to win 363 games and make the Hall of Fame is made of some hardy stock. Yeah, I mean, so many of those players have um, incredible stories that go way beyond baseball, right? Yeah, well, that's a good point too, right? Like, and I was talking about this with Dave last time. Like, 49 Bowman has all these variations, right? When you're building a set, though, that's part of the fun. Is how deep a dive can you do on that set? It's not just about collecting that one card of that player. There's so much more to it. The diamond stars are artwork to me, which is why I may do it. It's not as much about the subjects. Yeah, totally. That would be an incredible set to like put in a binder and look through. Definitely. Yeah, it's true. Fingers crossed right now, knock on wood with the Nats, but that Giants series was pretty painful, and I guess they did not win the series against. Did they win the series against the Marlins or? Um, I don't remember. They haven't been playing as well recently. Part of the reason I built the T206 520 was due to all the variations. Most of my favorite cards were, yeah, Southern Leaguers and Uncommons, right? Yeah, and I'm going to guess that's something that you kind of discovered over time. It's like not necessarily how you went into it, right? But that's what happened. So building wisdom and experience as well as the other set builders in this chat. I seem too scattered to build a set right now. Nina, all you have to do, okay, so all you have to do is, and I know this is gonna make it sound really easy. It's not easy. Pick a set, right? Pick a set, any set. And the only requirement is that it's a set that you think you could imagine being interested in months, years from now. That it'll keep your interest, and then you just start. It really is as simple as that. Okay, fantastic, great. Well, I hope this is a little bit more motivation for you, guys. If you don't know this channel, Lefty NDV10, seriously, go open up a new YouTube video, look this channel up, subscribe, and check out the first 2 episodes, and there'll be a third one hopefully coming soon because it's really unique content in terms of our community when it comes to pre-war tobacco cards. Oh, okay. Well, hey, congratulations. That'll do it, right? That's a good excuse. Hello, welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for your comment before. I'm glad to see you in here. I'm gonna put the StreamYard in here. Keep your comments coming, guys. I finally caught up. But I've also put the link down below. So if anybody wants to hop in and chat, we can talk about cards. We can talk about set building. We can talk about YouTube. I'd love to. We've never done it on here, really. I'd love to talk about YouTube and the community and making videos and the stuff that goes into just being in this community. I'd love to talk about that too. So, but anything's on the table if you guys want. Still 7-3 Phillies in the top of the 7th, in case anybody was worried. Yes, congrats. That is more important than finishing episode 3 of the T206 video series. Definitely more important. So what's next for your own set building adventures? Yeah, I would encourage anybody in here that's building a set or thinking about building a set to comment. We got a couple people in here that are thinking about Diamond Stars, me included. I'm not guaranteeing anything. Don't hold me to it, but it's definitely on my mind. Maybe one of these days. I'm also thinking about 49 Bowman. I talked with Dave Blue Jacket about that last time. I know Mike, Canadian Cards. Mike, if you're in here or if you're watching this later, go Mike. I'm excited for him because he's going to go after that set. He already has started, and that's pretty amazing. I love that set. Not sure about the rest of you guys. Anybody else in here thinking about building a set? Phillies and Padres will hopefully get 2 of the 3 wild card berths. Yeah, I can only say that I'm focused on the Phillies. I'm not really paying attention to the rest of it. As long as the Phillies get in, that's as much as I can hope for this year. Current build is a modern 1968 tops. Very modern. Yes. Yeah, you're in a room with a bunch of curmudgeons that are talking about, the early 1900s and 1950s at the latest, right? 1968, my gosh. That's so modern. Does it count if you just buy the Topps factory set? What do you guys think? Are you a set builder if you buy the Topps factory set? Part of me wants to say, no, that doesn't count. You have to build the set from scratch. The other part of me wants to say, that's a really efficient way to build a set, right? It's just like, boom, you're done. No, I know a lot of people do that. And, when it comes to building modern, I can understand going for the factory set. 49 Ashburn is a tough card. 49 Ashburn. Oh, yeah. It's a great card. So why is it tough? Is it because I don't know offhand? Is it a short print? Is it just like got condition issues? What makes it tough? I like this hand built. This idea of hand building. I'm working on a hand built 1979. Great. How far along are you with it? Okay, Rick says no, it doesn't count. I'm gonna guess that's what Rick's nope means. 69 to 94 were hand built. Great. That's cool. It took 649 days to complete my 1959 top set. I love that you know the days. I could probably figure that out if I put some effort into it. Were you gauging that from the time you started, or did you kind of like go back and look at purchases to figure it out? Just curious, because that's kind of cool. Because like for example, I know roughly it took me like 2 to 3 years, but I don't really know the day count. That's kind of great. And that's a great set to build. Everything I have from 86 to 22 is factory sealed. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I were. I was a kid in the 80s. If I were to try to build a set at that time, there would be some serious nostalgia about having built a set as a kid in the day before the internet. But trying to build those sets by hand now, I don't know. I guess some people do that. I think there's something a little bit more nostalgic about building stuff pre 80s. I don't know why. That's just personal preference, maybe. You logged everything in the spreadsheet, so you just finally realized, yeah, fair enough. Okay, so you are extremely organized. I thought I was organized, but you've got me beat. I'm putting the link in the chat again. I'm fine being the only person talking on here, but if you're at all interested in hopping on, don't feel any pressure, guys. You don't have to stay for very long. If you just want to say hey and hop off, that's fine. But it's up to you. I had a budget and a plan. When I noticed I was a little ahead of the plan, I started getting nicer cards. Cool. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, when it comes to so getting back to what I was talking about before, when it comes to YouTube, I have a number of videos lined up that I need to get to. Some that I originally wanted to do a while back, just didn't get to. So I'm trying to catch up. I've got one mail day that I'm very excited to share. So there's a little tease right there. I'll hopefully be able to do it in a week or two when it finally comes in. I have a second part of a care package to do. Some of you guys may have seen the video that I put out. Was it yesterday or the day before? Where I got these suckers from Mr. Stove Sports. And in addition to just being really awesome vintage baseball cards, it's also a hilarious joke and an incredibly insane and creative care package from Mark. So I encourage you guys to check that out at some point if you haven't. I was totally caught off guard. I mean, I honestly, I had the package sitting there. I assumed it was going to be a note and some cards, but I had no idea what. And then I opened it up and was like, what are all these letters? It's like, has Mark lost his mind? Turns out the answer is yes, he did lose his mind, but he blew my mind. I was like so surprised. It was really, really, really creative. Hey, Dean, good to see you. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I worked on a 2004 Upper Deck Play Ball 56 game hitting streak set. I finished it just last year. Wow. 18 years. Well, I'm sure you were busy from time to time in those 18 years. This is really true. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I totally get why people do that, but it's also to me a little heartbreaking that base is just, kindling basically. But it's a good point. That's makes it a lot easier to hand collect. No, it's in here. I've decided. I'll make this public announcement. I've decided to challenge Cardboard Productions. I'm really curious to see what the legal action is going to be. So come at me, guys. I sent him the message, and he said he laughed. He laughed when I guessed wrong on this, but he did not say anything about me having to return it. So we'll see what happens, guys. I might be creating some serious drama for myself. And it was Joe Torre too, I'll always remember the Joe Torre card was the mistake. But these are really great. These are I posted these on Twitter recently. I mean, after I got it, and I got a lot of comments. Yeah, it's like it's a really underappreciated, fun set. Um, I guess because it's kind of like it's people maybe they don't like it because it's a game, maybe because it's like sort of pseudo floating head, but I think they're awesome. Have you heard of the 1914 Polo Grounds game cards? They're not the most beautiful cards, but I picked up a Triss speaker fairly cheap the other day. I don't know if I have. Let me go here and check this out. See if I can pull anything up. I wish I could share my screen. For those of you that just hopped on, I cannot share my screen because my computer was just plugged into a new home. This is my new place, and I have not gone live and tried to share my screen before. So when I tried to share my screen, my computer was like, nope, you can't do that without restarting Google Chrome. And obviously, I'm not going to restart Google Chrome right now. So, oh yes, okay. So Corey, yes, I have. I have seen these before. Yes, they've got the black and white photograph of a player, say, Ty Cobb or Tris Speaker, like you said, and it's got a very thick white border around it with instructions from the game: a hit, a ball, a strike. Um, yeah, you're saying they're not the most beautiful cards, but they're really interesting, and I think look, sometimes there are cards that are really just like aesthetically not pleasing to look at, but these I think are cool. And if everybody else thinks they're not nice to look at and that makes them more affordable, it's like, hey, that's even better. That's even better. Quite worried about the direction of Modern, even though I don't really collect it. I think with the massive amount of money Fanatics has invested into buying Tops and getting a monopoly, printers are going to be 24/7. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about it? I honestly don't really um, think about it too much because it's like you. It's not really my focus, but it's a good point, and I'm curious to hear what the rest of you guys think about that. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I may come to regret it. Is there, Alan? Good to see you. Is there a um, Joe Jackson? And in fact, I asked that question. It's like actually, I think did I just see somebody get a Joe Jackson of that card? Maybe on Instagram or somewhere. How are you, Alan? Good to see you. Really? There's 20 people in here. Nobody wants to come. Nobody wants to come talk, huh? You guys just want to watch me flounder by myself. I see how it is. Alan, you've been posting some fire lately. Those of you that don't have Instagram are missing out. Alan has a great Instagram. Sorry, I'll come back to you in a second, Nina. Alan has a great Instagram account where he's posting acquisitions. Alan, I don't know what the ratio is for you between YouTube video and Instagram posts with your mail days, but you've been getting some really great stuff lately. Besides the Pee Wee Reese card, what is your favorite Brooklyn Dodger card? Yeah, right. You have to say that because the conversation would die right away. It's where is it? It's this card right here. That's my favorite Brooklyn Dodger card. You know what? Don, I don't know if Don's in here. Don's Field of Dreams cards just posted a pickup of a Sandy Almiros, 1957 Bowman. That's a great looking card. Um, and Impact player Josh, who has not made videos in an eternity, was the first person to really kind of turn me on to that card. Yeah, Sandy Almiros is a great Dodger, like an underappreciated Dodger, played a really key role. And Jesse, if you're in here, you know what I'm talking about. Played a key role in the Dodgers winning the World Series in Brooklyn. And that's a great looking card. It's kind of an obscure Dodger card. I'm not saying it's my favorite one, but it's just one that comes to mind. Yeah, 55 Topps Koufax. I was just giving 55 Topps a hard time, but right over here is somewhere in here is a 55 Topps Koufax. Very, very glad to have it. The 53 Bowman Duke Snider, definitely one of my favorite cards. I love the 57 Topps Dodgers Sluggers, which has that lineup of who's in that lineup. It's Campanella, Snyder, Furillo, Hodges. Is it Hodges? I can't remember. Somebody will answer it before I can look it up. Yeah, yeah. Furillo, Hodges, Campanella, and Snyder, and you can see Ebbets Field in the background. Yeah, okay, you know what I'm talking about. Sandy Almiros made the best catch in World Series history, in my opinion. No offense to Willie Mays, yeah. I would argue that it's debatable. Yeah, for sure. That's such a great New York City debate right there. I can hear the debate. Yes, Hodges. Okay, yeah, yeah. Thank you for backing me up, everybody. How you doing, Carlos? 56 Newcomb. Carlos, doing a great job on your 53 Bowman build. I was not aware that you were building that, so that's really cool. How long have you been after that set? 56 Don Newcomb. Yeah, that's a cool card. God, I wish I could show you guys this. Next time I'll get this all worked out. Yeah, that's a cool card. Like Newcomb's in the middle of his windup. Amaris ran for miles to catch that ball. Yes, he did. Now you're just making stuff up, man. I need to assign somebody to be the gatekeeper and kick this guy out. Such a troublemaker. Yeah, I can totally appreciate that. Um, no reason to rush, right? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, and as I recall, um, he has this very imposing look on his face, and he's got his gray Dodger away uniform on in the Polo Grounds, which is just perfect. All right, you're forgiven. You're forgiven. 51 Bowman Campanella. Doesn't immediately jump into my mind. I'm guessing, is that the portrait one? No, of course it's not. That's a great card. That's the one where he's throwing his mask off. Yeah, That's a fantastic card. Okay, you are not following the rules here. You are not following the rules. Nina, are you gonna do a Brooklyn Dodgers PC? Because if you are, I'm excited. Yeah, I didn't realize, Scott, that you were referring to Erskine's nickname, Oiskine. I just saw that name. I was like, I don't know. When Scott's in here, I just am on edge. I'm like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna say? Well, this is now official, guys. Nina is building a Brooklyn Dodgers PC. Um, good for you, Nina. Next to whatever your hometown team is, for you the Guardians, for me the Phillies, a Dodgers PC is only natural as a baseball fan. I'm a total Brooklyn Dodgers fan. One of the weird things about being a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, aside from the fact that I'm a fan of a team that technically doesn't exist anymore, is whenever I wear my Brooklyn Dodgers cap out in public, I inevitably get approached by somebody who thinks I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. And they're either excited that I'm a Boston Red Sox fan and then confused when they realize I'm not after I tell them, no, it's a Brooklyn Dodgers hat, or they're really upset that I'm a Red Sox fan and then they're relieved when they find out that I'm not. So I have all these weird interactions with Red Sox fans and Red Sox haters as the result of being a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. I'm short of having all 1955 Dodger autographs. That's freaking incredible. Now, how are you doing that? Are you doing it? Is it just sort of like I'm getting the autographs however I can get it, like baseballs, checks, personal items, or what's your strategy? Because that's really cool. One of my dream pieces of memorabilia is to have the 1955 uh, autographed baseball by the Dodgers. I would love to have that. I've got the Giants, New York Giants World Series champs ball, but would love to have the Dodgers. The thing that's going to make it next to impossible is Jackie Robinson. There are autographed baseballs out there that don't have Jackie's name, and the price just comes down so much. So I might have to I might have to go in that direction. Yeah, me too. That's a good point, Terry. That should be the first card you show off, Nina. The Leaf Police. Well, if Dave is still in here, even and if he's not, if Dave, if you watch this later, um, Terry needs some schooling. Mm, not my absolute favorite, but I'm sorry, I like the 1957 Topps Charlie Neal because of the iconic Schaefer beer sign in the background. Yes. Um, I did not know this until relatively recently, and some of you guys that are baseball fans, Dodger fans, baseball history fans might know this. But the what is it? It's the H and the R, I think, in the Schaefer beer sign would light up. They had like neon built into the lettering, and they would light up whenever a Dodger hit a home run in Ebbets Field. And if you see any like close up pictures of the Schaefer sign, you can see it. From a distance, you may not be able to tell, but if you're close up, you can see it. And when I did a Brooklyn Dodgers team set video months ago with G's Mikey, we put that in there, and I try to approximate what it would look like. I don't know if there's any footage of it. I've never found any footage of it, but the Schaefer beer sign is definitely iconic. Most of the time I work on a team and mat and frame them, but the 55 Brooklyn team I have on display on a table and walls behind it, magazines, cards, photos, etc. Okay, cool. So it's just a lot of different media that you got. Curious, how long have you been working on that? Hey, I appreciate it. You can't really see the whole thing, obviously, in this shot. Over there is where I've got all my books and my autographed baseballs. One of these days, when I have everything really kind of fully put together, I'll do a video to show it so everybody can get a sense of it. Hello, Kurt. I met an elderly man here in New York City a few months ago who was thrilled when I correctly inquired if he was a New York Giants baseball fan based on the cool vintage cap he was wearing. That's fantastic, Kurt. Good for you. Um, yeah, it's like a dying thing, I guess. People don't realize that the Giants came from New York, that the Dodgers came from Brooklyn. It's just crazy. And it's all there, like all the signs are there, right? Like the color schemes and all the hints, but people don't realize. Been working on the 55 team for about 20 years, but not full time because the 60 Pirates and 61 Yankees took some of my focus away. Okay, fair enough. All right, so you kind of go after these World Series uh, years, um, which is cool. Yeah, 61 Yankees, that's another one that's on my list for obvious reasons. Um, Speaking of which, how about Aaron Judge, right? But 60 Pirates, that's really cool too. Right. I'm curious if he actually has ever followed the Mets. I mean, a lot of New York fans, I guess, eventually moved to the Mets or just stopped following baseball. Very few of them probably aligned with the Yankees if they were Giants or Dodger fans. I'd like to put my Braves team collections in shadow boxes when I complete the set. Just finished the 51 and the 55 Bowman. Cool. Yeah, I mean, displaying your set is a great idea. Like, why not? After all the time and effort you put into it, you should enjoy it. Put this in here again in case anybody wants to hop on. All are welcome just to quickly come on and say hello. This has been fun, guys. Lots of good content, good thoughts, good chat. Yeah, and that's how this one goes, man. Sometimes there's like 6 people in here, sometimes it's just me, and that's fine. It's totally just off the cuff. I don't mind. Okay, you guys are neighbors. You should guys do a joint video. If you're asking me, Corey, the answer is no. My pickups lately have been a house. I just bought a dryer today. So I've been buying all sorts of really important but kind of boring pickups that I wouldn't make a video about. Mail day, new house. Mail day, a dryer. The dryer's arriving tomorrow. So I've been doing all sorts of adult things. Not many vintage pickups. I have one really great vintage pickup that I actually picked up months ago, like before the summer even started. And it's been kind of sitting around. I've been wanting to make a video about it. I did make part of a video about it, but I had to take it to get framed. And I'm waiting to get it back from the framing spot to make the second part of the video. So that just gives you a little hint. Whatever I got was framed, not slabbed. So I'll be excited to show that off. But since then, I mean, it's been months since I picked anything up. What's the vintage of my house? uh, it's it's like late 50s, early 60s. So it's like right in my wheelhouse, you know. Um, good for you. Yeah. I already had the washer and I just needed the dryer to complete the set. So now, now that I've got the dryer, I've finished that set build and I'm ready to move on. um, yes. Yes. The answer is yes, 100%. Don't need to say anything else. No, I don't. Those are really cool. And actually, I saw somebody pick up a. That's what I saw. It was a somebody picked up one of those and it was a Joe Jackson, and he also had the Ty Cobb and was going to get them framed. And that's a really great idea. I'm running out of wall space if you can't tell behind me. I used to have a lot more wall space in my other place. You can't see it, but the wall over here is actually a really big window that I had to put up some um, blackout curtains to keep the light out. So I've lost the amount of wall space that I used to have. But those B18 blankets are definitely cool. Uh, well, it was built by hand, not by me, because I wasn't alive when it was built. But I am out of the state of Georgia. There's another YouTuber down here, Andy, Nostalgic About Baseball. So if you don't follow Andy's channel, you should definitely look him up. Nostalgic About Baseball. He has promised to make another video. He's just finished. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying he's got some pickups. He just hasn't made a video, but one of these days, hopefully soon, he'll do a recap of everything that he's picked up. Oh, that's cool. That's great. Yeah, definitely. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going? How are you?
Good. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I just enjoy
What?
watching a live stream, kind of sit back, but I always like it when I used to do the link in the live stream thing, and a lot of people are very shy. But it's like
Yes.
I spend hours doing this thing all the time now at this point, and I just send the link off to folks ahead of time. It's like, all right, let's just do that. It's easier
Right.
than letting people sit there and like, all right, is anybody gonna use the link? All right, fine. I used to pin it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's like there are six of us. Sometimes it's just me. I don't really care
Yeah.
one way or the other. I'm fine with whatever happens. But thank you for hopping in. I mean, yeah, you definitely are more than comfortable with this. So what's going on your end?
Not too much. It's right now. It's the time of the hobby season where I'm setting up. I'm putting aside some money for the next show coming up, so that'll be fun. Good evening, Nina.
Okay.
Thank you. But setting up for waiting for the next show. I've already picked up a bunch of stuff, honestly, and I was like, all right, let me just slow down. I better save some money for the show so I can at least hang out. It's more of a hangout than anything else, but I do want to have a little bit of money in the account just in case.
What's the show?
So over here we've got the our big show over here, north of the border. It's we've got our expo. We've got the Toronto Expo twice a year. So the next one will be coming up in November. Which again, you look at September, you go, but it's like I know I blink and it'll be basically mid-November and we'll be there.
Right. Right. And
It's
how long does it go?
so that one goes. They used to do 3 days and now they do four. So they expanded it out to four, and it's probably about 600 tables ish.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah. It used to be before Dallas really blew up. The way the analogy I give is before Dallas really blew up, it was the number two show in terms of size because it was the national,
To the
and then
national, yeah.
yeah, and then that one would do between 500 and 600 tables normally, and it was a little bit hotter. It'd be closer to 700. So it's
Okay.
right up there with what Dallas is doing. Now, it's very hockey heavy, so if that's
Okay,
what
I
you're
was gonna
into,
ask. Yeah.
but that didn't mean like because it's funny here. I get pigeonholed a lot. They're like, "Oh, you want to talk?" It's like, "Yes, I can talk about hockey, of course. I'm here. Of course, I can talk about it." But there used to be a lot of dealers that did a lot of good business with vintage baseball and vintage football and those ones. Now they were fewer and farther between, but that meant a lot of them didn't know what they had.
Okay. Right.
So it made things kind of fun. I My 56 top set has a Ted Williams in it that I bought for the whopping sum of 10 Canadian dollars.
Wow.
And it's
When?
just sitting
When was that?
probably about 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
So,
Still, that's
but
crazy.
by that point, it was worth more than $10. Let's put it that way. It was still
Yeah,
worth more
yeah,
than 10.
yeah. Certainly.
And it was sitting right on
Wow.
the front of the table, and the guy had vintage cards. So I was sitting there like, so you want $10 for it? And he goes, yep, very well. Good day. Good day, sir.
Wow. But so you say used to. Is like has the vintage baseball like market dried up in that
I wouldn't say the
oh,
market. I would say it was like the honey hole that has been predominantly bled dry because you
okay,
have to
all
get
right.
more inventory. The issue, like I'll give you the most extreme example, the super extreme end of the scale. We used to have a lot of very good vintage. A lot of my 50s stuff that I have was built back in the mid 90s. So
Hmm.
now we're talking a long time ago relatively, but still at that time there was a card shop in Toronto and it was called Legends of the Game. And it was this big shop and being downtown Toronto, the real estate was very expensive. It was right near the Sky Dome. So it was in a
Yeah.
heavy traffic area.
Yeah.
But what they would do is they had no earthly idea what they were doing. They would just buy collections of almost anything. People would walk in the door and sell them collections. They'd buy collect. Now they pay next to nothing, so but they had inventory going crazy, and they had these amazing displays full of vintage equipment from different sports and everything. All kinds. It was a beautiful, beautiful shop, but that also meant they had amazing stuff. So if you knew what you were looking for, they didn't care. So what I would do is I'd go over there and I'd pop in. At that time I was in my teens, so I'd go in and they'd be like, okay, can I take a look at the 52 tops binder? Can I take a look at the 53 tops binder? This one, this one, this one. And I would just go find the most beat up copies of all the cards that I have, and they would give me like a flat rate of like about a buck or under a buck a card. But the thing is, they didn't sort or read anything. I bought 52 tops high numbers for a buck.
Wow. Right.
And there would be some semi-stars. Like obviously, if it's Man or Maze, they can figure that one out. They would go look it up, but they would put high numbers, variants, variations, and all kinds of things that would be in there. And I would just grab a stack of it and go, here you go. If I'd been more entrepreneurial, honestly, the I joked with my buddy. I go, if I cared about money more than I do, I wish I kind of did, but I don't. But if I did, the correct move would have been to go to my family. I go, listen, guys, I need about $1,000. I'm just gonna clean them out
Yeah.
because they'll sell it to me. They'll sell me the
Right.
whole stack of it.
Wow. Well, I mean, even though okay, so you didn't do that, but you still did well.
Like 60% of my 55 Bowman set came from dollar cards or less.
That's great. That's
So
great.
it worked out better. And I did most of my damage in that mid to late 90s period on that set. I finished it off years ago, but most of my damage on the majority of the stuff that wasn't the stars and such was done from that. Because when you're building one of those 50 sets, it's the commons that add up. Like it costs you money. You expect to pay money for Mantle. You expect to pay money for Maze and Ernie Banks and all that. But after a while, you're like, I don't really want to spend a lot of money on some of these common guys. It's like
Right.
I need them for the set, but like I'm not as excited about going chasing those down necessarily, other than finishing
Right.
the set.
Right. So what's your process right now doing this set, doing the 53 set?
So I'm going for the. So nowadays, I used to do the thing where I was scattershot. I would have a bunch of sets that I'd be working on, and now I don't like to do that anymore. I like to be working on two active sets that I'm working on. So 53 Bowman is now one of those, and 63 Fleer Baseball is one of those.
Okay.
63 Fleer, I decided to make it a little bit more fun. Since it's a smaller set, I'm actually doing it with the set registry, so everything is PSA graded on that one. It's only about 65 cards, 67 cards. I can't remember how many it is. It's not bad though. It's pretty reasonable. The other one, I've got stuff in the binder and I've got stuff that's graded. I've got the combination of the two. I'm not too picky on that, but it's focusing predominantly on the stars. I did have some singles already anyway. I probably about 35 cards right now, so approaching a quarter of the set, so not too bad. But yeah, I got Mantle, I got Pee Wee Reese out of the way right away. I
Great.
got those guys. So, and now I'm looking for some of the other guys and trying to pick them up.
Hmm. But like, where are you going? Are you going on eBay or like what's your?
eBay's been good for that. I'll be honest. One that has done well for me, at least in some of the ones that I picked up, has been the PWCC weekly auctions. Has not been bad. There have been
Okay.
some decent ones on there. Because I think my Robin Roberts is a CSG. I was able to get that fairly inexpensively because people didn't want to look at CSG, and PWCC gets less eyeballs. So a lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to bother with it, but it's like, yeah, the auction runs about 10 days and it ends on a Sunday. Just go in and make a bid, and as long as you're not overpaying, you got to add in the 20%. Add that, calculate that. But I've gotten stuff pretty reasonably priced right out of there, and then I just wait until I get a couple of cards and then ship it all at once to myself.
Oh, okay. Okay. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Um, cool. So do you have anything in mind for that you, I don't know if you do that or not. Like some people like to like have certain cards in mind for a show, or are you just kind of going in and seeing what grabs your eye?
I used to. I think it got more difficult when because now it's I have the checklist. I'll bring the checklist for the sets, and if I can find something in there, that's great. But if I see something awesome, it's gonna be I'll pick it up. That's why I like having a little extra cash sitting around, just in case something interesting comes across. I'm not gonna turn it down. Some of my best cards came as a result of doing that, so that works out. The other thing is I've got my player collections and stuff, but I don't really keep the checklist of that anymore. It's just like I pretty have a pretty good grasp on if I need it or not, and it's like
Sure.
I'll know it when I see it. I'll walk
Right.
in and I'm like, all right, we'll get that one.
Right. I was astonished how cheap 55 Bowman are as graded cards in excellent to mint to near mint range. I usually collect raw, but it was too good of a deal. Yeah, that set continues to just sort of be underappreciated.
Yeah.
It's not desired.
Oh, I think also, in all honesty, and good evening, Carlo. I know Carlo is it from my chat. I've seen him too a little bit, so good evening. But the other thing is that, and this is honestly a thing that's going to become a bigger trend going forward. N- Folks like in your chat would be the minority. Most people don't want to do sets anymore.
Right.
And also if they are going to do a set, and this is kind of the boat I find myself in a little bit. 53 Bowman is great because it's 160 cards.
Right.
It's not like a ridiculous amount of cards. If I was going to do the 55 Bowman set now, I might hesitate because once you get into 300 cards and it's 50s and you gotta again, it's not as exciting chasing after some of the commons and semi-stars necessarily. Of course, if you want to take your time, that's why I credit you for the series you did. You
Right.
really added something to it by, hey, I'm going to tell the story of some of these other cards as well, just to give them a little bit more flavor.
Right.
But a lot of other folks are like building the set en route to potentially building another set after that, another set after that. But 300 or 400 cards for a 50 set is a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it gets to be a bit tedious, a bit monotonous. It's like not everything's going to be a mantle or a maze or whatever. It's like, no, I'm afraid you need that person too. I'm
Right.
afraid you're going to need Don Mossy. You might
Right.
not be as excited about it, but you're going to need him as part of that set probably.
Oh, there are plenty of people that are excited about Don Mossy.
Not most people. Not most people.
Bob Lewis, of course.
Oh
But
yeah, Bob Lewis is a force of nature. He's a
yeah.
difference maker unto himself.
Right. Right. No, that's a really good point. Um, Yeah, I mean, to me, and I mean, hey, like you said, 160 is a walk in the park compared to some of these other sets.
Yeah,
Um, so the amount of commitment and time and obviously money that goes into that is going to make people think twice. So that definitely makes sense.
yeah. We're a bit of an instant gratification crowd too, because it's one of those things where that was the reason why I shifted to just doing two sets at a time. It feels like you're making more progress. It doesn't feel like you're stalling on this when it is 400 cards, 500 cards. It's like, yeah, you got 5 cards in, cool. That's 1%.
Right.
It's like you're barely putting a dent in it. Keep going.
Right. Right. I'm not seeing these great ears for
Yeah,
sure.
I figured people would appreciate that reference. I could have picked a couple different names, but Don Mossy felt like the right one.
That's yeah, no, that's the classic one.
Yeah, I'm not as adept into it as I used to be. I used to do a better job of studying a lot of the sets because I used to study the a lot of the pre-war stuff because it was mostly interest. I like being well researched on that stuff just to know it, just to understand it. Even if I'm not going to collect it, it's still interesting to me to learn about it. I'm not as tight on it as I used to be.
Right.
It helped because during that time, especially when I was buying all those lots and things, I was like, no, I need to know. I need to know where the high numbers start. I need to know where the semi highs start. I need to
Right.
already have that committed, more or less to memory, so I can walk in and be the informed one.
Sure.
But when I'm working on a set now, I'll usually put the research in on that side of it, and that makes sense.
Right. So are you actually going for the whole 160 cards, or are you kind of going for Hall of Famers?
No, for the 53, I want to do the set. I
Okay,
think
great.
I have a complete 55. I have a complete 54 that I finished a little while ago. We're gonna do 53. I moonlighted the idea of doing 52, but I gave up on that project. I sold the mantle. I had it, so I sold it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I did well on it because I bought well years ago. I think I bought the mantle for like $400, and I sold it for just shy of 2 grand.
Wow, great.
So I can't complain about getting good money out of it. It's just I never liked the 52. So I think what happened was when I was much younger and I was starting it earlier, I thought, oh, it'd be great to do the run
Mhm.
of Bowman, do the run of Tops, and they got more and more expensive. And then after a while, I was like, I actually don't like some of these sets.
Yeah,
I could do it, but I actually don't like them. So it's like, so now it would be a job, it'd be a slog to do something I don't enjoy. Why would I do
yeah,
that?
yeah. And that is something that I'm always thinking about. It's like if I find myself begrudgingly buying cards, there's
Hmm.
something wrong with my strategy.
Yeah.
I've got to like look forward to it and not just feel like, well, I need to do this in order to say that I completed it.
Hmm. And that's the reason why I suggested that point of I think some folks have gotten less excited about completing sets
Yeah,
because there is a certain commitment to it, especially for these bigger sets. Again, if it's a really small set, a little bit easier, but for these other ones, it is a commitment. So you have to have enough interest to sustain you
yeah,
when it's a little bit of a drag and you're not finding maybe the card and if you're being picky on condition at all, like you were very picky when you were building your set,
yeah.
you need to be genuinely interested in what you're doing because it's not going to be quick.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I do, I do feel like when I was building the set, um, the thing that kept me going was exactly what you're talking about. It's 160 cards. That's not with that's not an outrageous number. Um, and I really truly like all of the cards and how they look. Even the most ordinary dull 53 Bowman card is astonishingly amazing compared to most.
Yep.
So I'm always motivated. But the thing that probably really motivated me was to say, okay, I have no idea who this guy is. I'm going to look him up.
Hmm.
And as it turned out, I really got into that part of it.
Hmm.
Um, and that continued to become something that accumulated over time was just the enjoyment of learning more about the players. And there's something about the 50s too, is like these guys stuck around for such a long time and were on the same teams for so many years that when I look at like earlier releases, like I'm thinking kind of in the back of my head, I'm thinking 49 Bowman. I haven't actually looked into what it would take to do that. But a lot of the players that were 49 Bowman are in 53 Bowman too. So
Hmm.
I'm seeing an earlier version of that player. Um, Not to mention so many others that I feel like I would be okay going through that whole set. But for somebody who looks at the cards and just says, okay, I know, Jackie Robinson, I know Richie Ashburn, I know, whoever, Satchel Paige, and then the rest of it is just sort of like not interesting. It's
Hmm.
hard to convince somebody to go for it otherwise.
I agree, but that's I think that's where I become more of an advocate of trying to propose to people instead of saying like, oh yeah, well traditionally set building was the way, and it was the way. But I
Yeah,
said, you know what? Why don't you just do something that makes it interesting for you? If a theme makes it more interesting, do that instead. No,
right.
no, we're not. Nobody's got a gun to your head telling you got to do it this way. So it's like, tell you what, don't. If you just want to do 53 Bowman color and just the stars, then do the stars. Figure out where your cutoff is. Do that. It makes it easier.
Right,
You, I love the T206 set. I think it's awesome. I don't want to collect it. It would be a lot. It would be a full commitment. However,
right,
there are Toronto players from that international league team. That's doable, and you could do it with a
right.
couple different backs and such. Like that's much more reasonable to me.
Sure.
And that could be fun.
Alex, if you get the 49 Bowman page, you might as well go for it. Yeah, exactly. I've got the Robinson. I guess I could get the page. If I got the page someday, that would push me over the edge. Yeah, why not? I mean, the thing about building a set that I love is that it's such a specific goal. Right now, I'm just kind of cherry picking and I'm all over the place. I like it. I'm enjoying it, but
Mhm.
the idea of like just really like sinking my teeth into a project like that is so much fun. I do miss the focus that it gives you.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I like that they said Pujols hit 696. It's like, I don't know. He's got a couple of weeks left. 700 maybe?
Yeah,
Question mark.
yeah, I can see it happening.
Either way, one more, and I think I want to say one more, and he passes A Rod. I think now he's tied with A Rod, if memory serves me. I think 696 is tied, and then 697 would be one ahead of A Rod.
Mm.
It's pretty sweet. I kind of feel like that's the right thing. I would like to see then at least one more. If not 700, then I'd like at least one more. Get just ahead of A Rod, and there you go.
Yes, yes, I would
It
agree
just
with
feels better. It just feels better.
that. Everything will be right with the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying his having a good resurgence. Like he's actually playing well.
Yes.
For limited playing time, it was like it was Anaheim, and all of a sudden, or sorry, the Los Angeles Angels, whatever they're calling themselves now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
one of the running jokes on my live stream is that I enjoy poking fun at Trout, and I was like, and I play it up and have fun, and the chat really loves it. It's like because I slag the guy, and he goes, but he's homered in 5 straight games. That's great. You might as well have told me he's hitting 800 in batting practice. Congratulations. Who cares? He's what 28 games back, 29 games back.
Yeah.
I'm closer to the playoffs than he is, and I'm not playing.
Yeah. Rough. Rough. So bad. But you know what? I agree though. Like because Pujols would obviously be getting standing ovations no matter what, but the fact that
Yeah.
he's playing so well
Yeah.
is just fantastic.
Now that said, though, he should retire after the season's over. I
Yeah.
think this is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
finish. Like this is we actually got a little taste of old school Pujols in a
Right.
St. Louis uniform. Everybody feels good. It's a good
Yeah.
feeling. Let's end it there.
It's the right season to finish on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and right now, like he's played very well down the stretch, and if he's able to get to 700, well, that's an exclamation point on the thing right off to Cooperstown. Have a good time.
Right. Subsets are the way to go. Yeah, I think for a lot of people it makes sense. You know, narrow your focus and make sure that whatever you're collecting is stuff that you actually want to have, that you're going to be happy to have in your collection. Are we talking about building raw sets or graded? I mean, we haven't really specified this whole time. Will I think it runs the gamut. I mean, I collected the Bowman set graded, but if I were to do it now, I would probably do it raw. Carlos, how are you doing yours?
Most of them are now it's a blend because it's gotten so expensive with some of the higher cards. Like so I grabbed one because I figured I would have it. I'm not working on the set yet, but this is in the pipeline.
Oh wow.
So we got the 53. Now this I bought this years ago, and this is a 1 for SGC, but a good
Yeah.
solid looking card. This is where next if I get the maze, then I'm gonna do the set. But I've got about 30 or 40 of the cards right now already
Yeah.
already with
Okay.
me. So I'm not starting from scratch, and I've got the big card in it, and I've got a couple of the other stars as well. But obviously, if I was going to buy this somewhere, would I buy it raw? Unless I'm in person? No.
No, right.
Yeah, like it's gotten too expensive, even at the lower condition levels. Like so, then automatically it's a mix, right? I could
Yeah.
have a bunch in a binder. So the 53 Bowman, all the Mantle is graded, the P. Reese is graded, and a bunch of the other stars are graded. But I've got a bunch sitting in a binder as well. So
Right.
it's a bit of a mix of the two.
Right. Makes sense.
It's more practical than anything else. It's not even just a preference. It's like if I'm going to buy something on eBay, would you really want to buy like $1,000 card raw?
No.
Unless you're super
Crazy.
comfortable with
I mean,
the selling.
I would have been terrified of doing that years ago, more so now.
Yes.
The hobby has just gotten so much more treacherous in many ways.
Yeah.
Real neat stat today. Alan Tremor and Lou Whitaker were double play partners for 19 years, which I knew. They got their first hits off the same pitcher and their last hits off the same pitcher. Okay, that's kind of creepy.
Baseball's good for quirks like that, though.
Yeah.
The synergy.
Yeah, for sure. September 1977. Wow. Okay.
I still like my favorite stat from this season was when Pujols broke the record he had with Bonds and hit off his 450th different pitcher.
Ooh.
Again, I don't have the issue with Bonds that some people do because prime Bonds was just scary.
Yeah.
Steroids or not, the dude was just like I just love watching him hit. He was just really good.
I remember just I was excited when I knew he was next up to bat
Mhm.
because I was like, okay, well they're gonna walk him. They have to walk him. That was always interesting. The intimidation factor before it was even his turn at bat. If you collect to collect and pursuing common players from pre-war or vintage can be fun without the crazy prices.
You
Yeah.
could also do a typeset if you're into pre-war and stuff, and you just want to get like the full breadth of the possibility. I wouldn't do a set now. There's a bunch of ones that fascinate me, but I'd love to get a couple of T3 Turkey Reds. I would love to
Hmm.
get a couple for the. I just love the way they look. I just think
Yeah.
the go find a nice looking one with a pinhole, save a lot of money, and get a
Yeah.
nice looking card. Save the money. Find a picture you like.
Right. No, I that's exactly what I've been doing. I've got turkey reds saved, and every now and then I'll go into that save search and I'll just kind of like, oh, that one looks kind of nice. I have no intention of getting more than one,
Yeah.
maybe two. Um, and you just kind of react to it. So I think that's just like really um, a fun way to diversify what you've got.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It's been about an hour and a half. Carlos, thank you so much for jumping on here. It was
Of
fun.
course.
We'll have to do it
Absolutely.
again. And sorry, 1 second, guys. Yeah, we'll be back and do this again sometime soon. And I hope everybody has an awesome Saturday night. And we'll see you in session 24. Good night, guys. Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you.